Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of the Terraria 1.3 Let's Play. This is episode 7, and today we're going to get right back down to business. No need to beat around the bush. I mean, we'll find some bushes and we'll beat around them a little bit, but we're going to go down into the bottom of this tree again and see if we can explore a bit of this ice region here that we had talked about prior. In the meantime, while I do a little bit of walking to get over there, let's talk a little bit about some comments. A lot of people have had things to say. There's been a lot of comments. I'm very thankful for all the support that the series has gotten so far. Some of the comments have been constructive criticism. Some of them have been just kind of discussion, opinions based on the things I've been discussing, and I love that kind of stuff. I want to keep that going ad infinitum, because that's what makes it interesting to do and talk about and be involved in. So, one of those things was, apparently I made a bit of a misplay in crafting the tungsten armor chest piece first. That was just sort of like one of those things that I didn't really feel like is really that relevant to really talk much about, other than just like, yeah, I'm gonna get the other piece of the tungsten armor, and then it'll make sense again, because basically what happened was, I lost 2 armor by changing out of the iron, and then, because it had a set bonus, and then when I put the tungsten armor on, it sort of evened that out, if that makes sense. Is this the right spot? Okay, now I've got to go a little bit further. So, you know, it was kind of one of those things, just, it really didn't make a huge difference. Maybe it would have been more optimal to make the pickaxe and then use that to get through the ore slightly faster. If that's the case and that bothered you, my bad. But, you know, we'll get it all eventually. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I wasn't really even considering the set bonus at the time, but, like, now that it was mentioned, it's like, yeah, no, I get it. I get what you mean. So that's one thing that people mention. Another thing is that enchanted sword that I've found. Apparently it was quite rare. I didn't know that it was that rare, and I'm quite happy that I found it that early on, because it's actually the perfect moment for me to get it and have it still be quite useful. So, you know, a nice find in that respect, I would say. Did I not see what was over here? This looks like there might be a little bit of a cave system here, maybe. Figured since we're in this ballpark, I might as well check it out. Also had people mention that I need to use certain buttons again. I know about Alt, I know Control, I know Shift. I know these are all the buttons that live around the Z key for the most part, and I'm aware that they do things. And I generally don't use them. It's force of habit. I feel like I'm saying this in every single episode, and yet people are still telling me all the time. But, you know, maybe we could put that to rest this episode. You know, I know about all the buttons, and I use the ones that I use because that's the way I play. And that's okay. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I'm not trying to make a big fuss about it. I just want people to know that I know, so we don't have to bring it up so often. And someone mentioned this in the comment as well, it did feel like people were saying it about twice every hour during the stream, because I wasn't using the buttons that they saw to be the convenient buttons. And, you know, I just think that I'm kind of just too used to it now to change my ways. I tried doing it a little bit when I was building some of the backdrop to my house. It seemed kind of useful there, where it was kind of just jumping all around, hitting all of the spots, but then it was putting them in spots I didn't want, and I couldn't make it stop, so, you know, I'd rather just have the control over the whole situation. It's just easier that way for me. So, I think we're near the point where the emeralds are gonna be. Oh, there's a little bit of tungsten in that wall, gotta grab that for sure. Someone also had mentioned that they'd like for me to talk about more what's going on in the game. That's just gonna happen. Some days I'm in more of the conversational mood, some days I'm more in like a let's get down and play the game mood. Other days I just want to talk about what your comments were, and that's, you know, one of these days that we're having right now. It just depends on how I woke up that day and what I'm in the mood to talk about. That's all that governs this whole process. There's not really like a formula behind it. I don't have a, you know, peer-reviewed, focus group-tested method that gains me the most views. I just do what I feel makes sense, and honestly, it doesn't matter. Like, if you guys want to watch it, that's awesome. If you're not into it, that's cool too. But I'm happy that the people that are here, and that we're having conversations, and, you know, some days we'll get a little bit of everything as well. That's the other thing. Like, some days I want to talk about random crap, and I also want to play the game, and I also want to answer comments. So, you know, we'll get it all. What's the harm in that? So we just had a coin portal, which is a fantastic little thing. We just got a bunch of gold from it. I don't know if this is a new thing from this patch, but I don't think I've really seen them in the past. Oh, it's that snail from Super Metroid. Alright, let's just avoid that for now. I don't remember this path going this deep on the left. It must just hook back up and around. Is this... Yeah, there's where the emeralds were, okay. Want to make sure I grab all of those goodies since they're here. I also started on this little process, and I don't expect anybody else out there to sympathize with what I'm going through on this one, but I started an elaborate text file that is all of the stuff that I need to make chest-wise to keep all my goodies sorted as I get long and deep through the game. And that's, well, it took me already like 20 minutes just to outline like the basics of what I want to have for chests later on, which is kind of ridiculous. This game has so many items in it. It's like they've put so many options to sort, and yet there's still so many things I wish you could do. And one of them, and I don't know if other people share the same sentiment, but it would be so fantastic if you could just equip the pig. Oh, that's death. I forgot, I don't have a horseshoe in a bottle. Should probably go after that at some point, huh? People have recommended that I go fishing soon and try and get some things out of that. Maybe I will at some point, but I figured fishing would be kind of boring unless I have a particularly long-winded topic to talk about. Anyway, what I was mentioning was it would be kind of sweet if you could equip the pig in the pet slot. The pig, by the way, if you're not familiar, is basically like, you know that piggy bank that I put back at home? It's just like a set of individually tailored inventory slots that are just for your character. You can have that just pop up and it'll fly by itself, which is perfect, because in the past my biggest complaint was that the thing would have to be set on a shelf, which was really annoying. So now you don't have to do that anymore, it'll just fly. So the next step to that is let it be equipable as a pet, and then you can click on it at any point to have like an expanded inventory that you don't really have to worry about too much. I think that would be super handy. And for that same point, and they did actually add an item that's sort of in the same vein as this, but it isn't exactly what I'm asking for here. Let me just expand my inventory outright. I don't know how to do it. Maybe just have like a second page or something. Maybe that's excessive, but like you pick up so many items in this. Just wandering about, you're bound to fill up your inventory like in 5 minutes when you're later on in the game. Like, it's not going to take long at all. So the pig is a nice step in the right direction. Make the pig more accessible, and then also let me have more inventory before I have to deal with the pig, and then I think everything will be sorted out just fine. Because really, inventory management is the one thing about this game that, like, I'm kind of addicted to it, so I can deal with it, and maybe I complain a little bit more about it than I actually should. But ultimately, like, I'm mostly okay with it. I just think it could be a bit more streamlined, and I think that the game would be more enjoyable overall if we didn't have to spend so much time going through and getting rid of items, and then replacing items, and getting rid of items again, and replacing more items, and then getting rid of them again. You get the idea. You know, I'll make do. I don't really expect these things to actually happen, but I'm just saying it would be pretty sweet if they did. Oh yeah, we didn't have the gold when I went back home, so I don't get to drop that off again. Let me think, what else was there that people had mentioned? People want me to play more Terraria. That's an awesome thing to hear. I'm glad that you want that. The viewership of the series so far has been going just fine. I mean, as with every Let's Play that happens, I mean, it starts to drop off after the first few episodes, and then you sort of find this equilibrium that goes on. So I'm kind of curious, like, if that's really the case, like, when I start uploading the VODs from the expert mode playthrough, if people are going to be as into that, or if it's just sort of like overdose of Terraria. I mean, we'll find out. But yeah, the people that want me to play more, that could be a thing that I do. I needed to get behind the series a little bit more in the way that, like, I needed to get more episodes recorded and not have to do them daily. But at the same time, we run the same thing that, and this happened in the last Let's Play, I want to respond to questions and have sort of like a dialogue back and forth about what's going on a day-to-day basis. If I start recording a big backlog of it, that becomes hard to follow through on, right? Because then I can't really be daily with it as well. It's not, like, a really bad thing generally, as long as I don't have, like, a week out on the backlog, but it's incredibly helpful to me to not have to record them every single day in case there's any kind of interruption in my daily life, because I can't always depend on having the same hours every single day. So, in that respect, like, it's great to do that, but on the other hand, missing out on the potential dialogue, well, that's kind of a detriment to me. So, I don't know. Oh, fleeting flurry boots! We can run super fast. That's awesome. That's exactly what I needed. And we got some tungsten bars, and we got some gold coins. This is a fantastic ice chest to run into, so I'm glad that I took the trip over here. Now, what do I want to do with this? So which one do I want to replace here? The fiber cordage is the least useful in that respect. So, alright, we don't need to necessarily make that many more vines. I think we've got plenty of rope to last us through the night and more. And let's just pop all this stuff off and head out. Should probably grab this platinum chandelier as well. What kind of material is this? Tin? Oh, it's iron. Okay. Underwater, they get a bit of a different tint to them as well, and it gets a little bit hard to keep track of sometimes. So what am I going to do about the fishing conundrum is the next thing. So, like, I want to do fishing stuff. Obviously, now I've got the opportunity for that to be the most useful it's going to be, since I'm still fairly early in the game. But I don't necessarily want to bore you with just kind of sitting there and clicking on stuff over and over. So that might be a good candidate for, like, a stream scenario. You know, if I want to just kind of hang out with chat, you could just talk for a while, get stuff done. I think that couldn't be too bad. Just pop a few more torches in the pile there. But let me know if you have any suggestions about how you want me to handle that. Maybe this is a good, like, question and answer segment to do, even just from the comments in the YouTube videos. If people are interested, we could do fishing and ask questions at the same time. Or if I'm feeling particularly in the mood to jibber-jabber about whatever, that could also be suitable there, too. I just feel like some things kind of interrupt the gameplay flow a little bit, so I try to relegate them to moments that feel right for the series, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to always do the same things on every episode. I want there to be a little bit of diversity, and I don't want it to get boring, obviously. I feel like exploration and forward momentum are generally the things that make this the least boring. So these kind of episodes where I'm just kind of looking for stuff underground, as long as I got stuff to talk about, I feel like this is when we're at our best, you know? So let me know if you disagree on that as well. This is just going to be like an unending series of questions, apparently, that you can choose to acknowledge or disregard. That's entirely your prerogative. Alright, we've got a pressure plate right here that I'm going to make sure I probably step on. Oh, thank goodness we didn't for once. And let's keep going down. So I think soon we're going to start to dig deeper. And once we get enough equipment that I feel comfortable, we'll start delving into the crimson areas. Because I think we could get some work done there by smashing stuff with bombs. And potentially getting some drops there that could be useful. Getting early crimtane and stuff is nice. I think that's a thing I can do. Oh, there's actually some crimtane right there that if I have a bomb on me, I could go ahead and blow up. Which I believe I've removed the bombs from my inventory for some reason. Why did I do that? Oh no, they're right there. Never mind. I'm being dumb. I just couldn't look properly. It's a thing. For some reason, when you're talking and you're reading comments, looking at things, getting distracted and all that, like, it's very easy to miss things that are just really obvious. And sometimes it leads to bad play as well. Sometimes it leads to me walking into stuff several times that I had no business to actually walk into. That's on my head. I've got to sort that out on my own. I trust that I can't mine that with this pick, yes. Alright. Well, I don't know what 3 crimtane ore is going to do for me. Actually, I know it's going to do nothing for me, but I'll go ahead and grab it anyway. Because we're here, and because it's not very much work. Just toss that guy right in there, and problem solved. There's actually something right underneath. What is this? We should dig. Let us dig. I'm trying to look at the comments here as we play to see if there's anything else I wanted to touch on quickly. Does this keep going? It looks like it does. But I can't tell to where exactly. Also, I should probably pop these pots just since I'm right here. Alright. Well, there's a little bit of money there that's not easy to get to. This ice is, like, just right in the way. There we go. Maybe I'll just toss another bomb into this hole. Make quick work of this, provided it falls properly, which it did. And it looks like we can actually dig over to the side, and it'll kind of just clear out this water, which is just fine. Oh, there's a bat. Didn't even notice you there. Thank you for dropping a heart for me, making things a little bit easier. You know what, let's just dig down. There's actually some topaz growing on the side of those ice blocks. Not a traditional place you would expect minerals to grow, but, you know, I can't really fault them for it. Minerals are going to grow where they grow. Oh, the bats here are very angry. I forget how angry they are here. You guys ever have one of those mineral growing kits when you were a kid? The ones that's like, here's a bunch of powder, and you can, like, build quartz in a little box, little see-through box. Kind of a neat thing. I wonder if that's still a thing that people do these days. You know, I go to Toys R Us occasionally, just to kind of scope out the situation. Sometimes I've got, like, a mission for, you know, price savings. I mean, I don't really go there very often. I'm just saying occasionally there's a reason I've got to go. Whether that be, like, a relative's birthday or something like that. You name it. But I've noticed that the selection of toys there has gotten very strange. It's a lot of Lego, which I can't fault them for. That's actually one of the more reasonable things that's going on. But then you've got just this crazy, unending series of, like, I don't even know how to describe it, just, like, all varieties of things that don't seem like they would be fun to play with. I know that's kind of a weird thing to say, because, like, obviously that's just my opinion. And obviously I'm wrong about it, because, you know, people are buying this stuff or it wouldn't be there. But there's, like, 100,000 vinyl figures of, like, Game of Thrones and Walking Dead, and they're like, what does this have to do with kids' toys? I don't know, they had some licensing deal, apparently, and they just, like, hooked up with every possible scenario of a different TV or movie franchise. I think there was, like, Hellboy, Sons of Anarchy, Breaking Bad. It's like, what is this doing in Toys R Us? I thought this was a kid's store. And by the same token, there was, like, a section of wrestling dolls, I guess you would call them. Like, I don't know where they really fall in the hierarchy of what... I mean, they're not figurines, they're massive. Some of them are, like, 3 feet tall. And they were posable, which, you know, makes sense for wrestling. And I grant, like, there's, you know, no problem. If you're a kid and you're into wrestling, I'm not gonna look down upon you. It's just, like, that seems like an odd thing. I don't know, I guess it makes sense. Fans of wrestling, they want to see these things, they want to have them for display purposes, beyond just the, like, you know, come over and look at this thing in my room. Maybe you could just, I don't know, actually wrestle with them if you're into that. I just felt like more often than not, I was coming up with justifications about, like, what kids would do with these things. I mean, they had still a bunch of board games, but most of the board games didn't look like they were things that were very accessible. I mean, a lot of them just seemed, like, really complicated, and I think they even had that one that was, like, activate things with the power of your brain, which is, that falls into the category of, like, does this even do anything? And I guess that's always been a subgenre of toys ever since I've been a little kid. Ever since little kids have been little kids, I suppose. There's always been people selling stuff that's like, hey, this principle seems like a cool idea. Whether it works or not, doesn't matter because you already bought it. Right? And, like, there's a whole, probably a market around toys that are sold just with the express purpose of being sold as gifts. And then they get relegated to, like, sitting in toy boxes and closets and never actually get really very much use. I feel like there was sort of like a mini renaissance for that around the time when those, like, Radio Shack style robots started to become popular, like the robots that really had no real purpose other than to say, look, a robot, and it had a little remote control. It would, like, move its arms, maybe it would walk a couple of steps, but what are you gonna do with it beyond that? That's kind of the whole story. So unless you're really into, like, reverse engineering how robots work, which, you know, I have zero begrudgment towards anyone who does that. I'm just saying that's gotta be a niche crowd, right? Like, who's really finding a lot of use out of those things? I have to wonder. I mean, I had one, and I just did not get it. Like, alright, this is cool for, like, 10 minutes, and we move on. And there are people in the comments saying that that's what they see Oculus as becoming, or the whole concept of virtual reality. I don't know, I really have to beg to differ in this case, and I'm super sensitive to things that feel like gimmicks. I absolutely am on top of that concept. If something seems like I can be cynical about it, my mind generally goes there without much effort. And stuff like Oculus, well, I don't know, I can't really muster the cynicism. It just seems like an intuitive concept to me that people will fall in line with and be interested in. Falling in line with it, that sounds like a weird way of saying it, like as if it's some sort of government mandate that you don't have to like it, but you have to deal with it. Like, that's not at all what I want it to be. Okay, well, that guy's in the way. So yeah, did you guys have any toys that, like, when you were a kid, it always struck you as, like, why would anyone play with this? Because that's kind of what I saw in Toys R Us in general. And, I don't know, maybe Toys R Us is struggling to find a market to appeal to, so they're just kind of all over the place these days. I mean, that probably makes a lot of sense that that is the case, because, as seems to be the case in a lot of retail locations, you know, there's too little shelf space and too many niche demographics to cater to. So then you end up with this frenzy of, like, who do I hit and still try to make enough money to get going? And Toys R Us has always been kind of a mixed bag when it comes to that. Now they've just gone very deep down that rabbit hole, I suppose. I mean, in the back of the store, they still had the usual staples. You know, they still had the, like, the little bikes and, you know, the diaper stuff and, like, the cribs. You know, that seems like it makes sense. I'm kind of used to this being, this is the kids' toy store. Like, this is where you go for the kids' stuff, and it also has some of those, you know, baby care things. And it's interesting to look at it from the perspective of an adult now who has no reason to go to a place like this, yet still, you know, there's fond memories of toy stores in general. There's no ill will towards them. It's rare that you can really come across a toy store that it really appeals to, like, the whole spectrum, I guess. And in this case, it seems strange that they would try not to appeal to the whole I don't even know. It's kind of hard to really get into. There's so many different varieties of ways you could look at the whole thing. I guess they're just doing what they have to do to survive, and, you know, who can begrudge them for that? I'll tell you what, though, they don't generally have very helpful staff in my experience. Not that I've needed really much help in a Toys R Us, but I've, like, never had anyone ever approach me there or, like, had a smile on their face when I'm in that store. It just seems like a very oppressive environment, which is, you know, obviously very contrary to the idea of what that store is supposed to be. You know, a place of happiness and joy, hopefully. But I guess you have to listen to kids all day being upset about stuff. Maybe entitlement things. I don't know. It's anybody's guess, but yeah, I don't know how I got onto that whole tangent about Toys R Us, but it is kind of a curious thing. Retail in general is a curious thing to me. I mean, I worked in it for so many years, and I find it's interesting to look at these, like, the entry level, like, what the people see versus what I imagine the corporate structure sees looking down. And I like to try and put those pieces of the puzzle back together. And it's like, so these are the decisions we made to get us to this point. Why did we make those decisions, and how does it affect us, and how did we miss our mark? Or did we miss our mark, I suppose? Because I could speculate about stuff with GameStop all day, if we wanted to. I'm not sure we want to, but that is the place that I have my prior employment, and that is the place that I have the most experience to do with retail. I don't know if you'll be able to hear that, but we've got fire trucks going off in the background. Hopefully no emergencies. Well, I mean, there's probably an emergency. Hopefully nothing too serious, though. Oh, what is that? We have an Intrepid Depth Meter. Interesting thing to see drop off of a common enemy like that, actually. You don't run into stuff like that too often. Also, was there... Yep, there is more tungsten here. I think we're actually well on our way to what we needed, which was apparently a tungsten pick. So, it looks like we don't have to do too much work for that. Do I have an air bubble here? There we go. Let's get a little bit of light on the situation. Good stuff. Hopefully you guys all had a lovely 4th of July. I know this is not exactly day and date with that event, but, you know, I didn't really mention it. Mine was entirely uneventful, as most holidays are these days. You know, I don't really have a lot of celebrating to be involved with. I just, you know, I keep my head down and do what I do. Generally avoid a lot of people and crowds. It's kind of a thing lately. Not that I have anything intrinsically against them, but, you know, I don't tend to mix around with too many people. And, you know, I spend a lot of time by myself, so I don't have a lot of friends around that are going to parties and such, and that's kind of where that goes. But that's my lifestyle. I hope you guys did whatever makes you happy out there. I have to wonder every year when it comes to 4th of July, and, you know, being that this is an American event, I know I have viewers around the world, and I'm super thankful for it, but, you know, not everybody is celebrating the same stuff. But I'm sure we all have sort of equivalent holidays that involve some of the same risks and that is what I was about to mention, is like the statistics every year. I have to wonder if the injury rates for fireworks use go up and down based on certain, socioeconomic climate change moments, and like what those key moments might be. It's a very specific thing that I wonder about, because honestly, like, why would I ever care about such a thing? But it's kind of maybe one of those, it's like a telltale moment with society where you can, like, sort of get a little glimpse. It's sort of like when people show up on Google and they have these very strange data points that are like, at 3 a.m., this is the keyword that's being most searched for in the southern American states. And then they sort of make some kind of tie-in with, some kind of cultural or news story, and then, like, that pornography viewing has risen by X%. Hey, we have the ability to swim finally. That's fantastic. Those are the kind of little cultural touchstone moments. I've been saying that word a lot because we've been talking about memes lately for some reason quite a bit. And memes are cultural touchstones, as everybody knows. Finding a rare Pepe is a big deal, and I'm sure a lot of your family would be very proud of you. But, yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, I like to find these little moments that tell you stuff about our culture that you'd never really expect to even find out about, let alone that you would find out about it via this weird route, if that makes sense. So, I guess, firework consumption is an interesting thing to me, and particularly in a state where most fireworks are illegal. I'm in New York, so there's not a lot that are legal in that case. Alright, almost drowned myself there, glad I didn't. Oh, watch out, we've got angry slimes and snails and bats. This could get bad real fast, but it didn't, thankfully. But yeah, it's funny that people risk life and limb and, potentially fines or jail time or, everything else that goes along with doing illegal things for the sake of fireworks. I always wonder about that, like, why is it so important to people? I understand it's a lot of fun. As mostly probably everyone has, we've all played with them to some degree. And when I say play with them, I mean watch someone shoot them off, or perhaps had some of the more benign ones, or if you're feeling a bit more daring, maybe some of the more, scary ones. That's not so much my bag, but I've certainly been around people who were into that thing, and I get the appeal of it. It's just not a thing that I'm interested in personally. I value my digits a little bit too much, and I trust the people making them a little too little to want to allow them that much control over my bodily autonomy, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's just one of those things, like, people really, really, really want to celebrate, and that's part of the fun, blowing stuff up. You can do it any time of the year, really, but we've just sort of earmarked this one day as, like, this is when you get it out of your system. Get your explosions in, and then we'll be good for another 365 days of non-explosions, or, well, 364 days in that case. So, it's like, why? Why do we need to get that involved with explosions? You can look at them from afar, and maybe that's not as appealing for people. You really want to get your hands dirty. You want to be the one that's setting that stuff off. And why they do it at midnight, that's the other thing, like, they do it at midnight on the 5th a lot of the time. I guess that's just the drinking, which is the other element of the whole thing, like, the drinking plus the fireworks, plus the various risk factors, like, all of those go together. Well, you get the point. But I just hope that everyone was safe. I hope nobody had any incidents. And whatever your chosen celebration means was, that it was a good time. I'm sure we could make lots of statements about whether or not it is reasonable to celebrate America. I don't think I want to go down that road, though. I think the closest thing I'm going to go to that is saying it's sad that Jon Stewart is leaving The Daily Show. That's a weird tie-in to make, I'm sure, for some of you, but, closest thing right now that I could see to a news source. So, I'm going to miss Jon Stewart a lot when he's gone. He's on, I think it's like a 3-week hiatus, and then he comes back for a few shows to wrap up in mid to late August, if I remember correctly. We're doing good on hearts today, by the way. I'm pretty happy about that whole thing. And we seem to be getting pretty deep, which I appreciate as well. But yeah, whatever your polarity as far as your interests in politics, I think we can all probably, hopefully agree, at the very least, Jon Stewart's a funny guy, and he will be missed in the realm of comedy as far as The Daily Show goes. He's not dying or anything, but, like, that show has been rather influential in my life for a long, long time. I didn't mean to do that. Just accidentally popped a potion there. I don't really need a cross statue, nor do I need these vines or these stone bits for now. Probably don't really need the boomerang either, but we can go through our stuff again in a while. Just do one of those. So we're just going to keep looking for a little bit longer. Oh, there's another chest. We're making out like mad right now. Extractinator, awesome. So we can go through some of that silt. There's some more tungsten bars and a little bit of dynamite, which I would never look down on. Dynamite is always handy, especially for extra fast clearing of large spaces. It seems like this this tundra, this Arctic region, is exactly what the doctor ordered for our progression right now. You know, ability to swim is huge, ability to run is huge. Just the extra HP is huge. Did I even pop that last heart? I did, right? Yeah, I did. Okay, and let's go down here as I see something I might want. Having an extractinator, I wouldn't say it's huge, but it's certainly one of those minor goals that I wanted to find eventually. Yeah, iron ore, I guess I kind of forgot, is useful throughout most of the game, so I guess I should probably keep mining that whenever I can. Apparently late in the game, though, we're going to get some sort of a device that's going to allow us to mass harvest worlds in a way. So that should be very interesting. Oh man, there's a ton of tungsten right there, as well as a bit of gold. Maybe we'll go gold pick and tungsten armor. Would that make sense? I actually need to look at the stats, because I don't remember which is ahead of which in this case. Eventually I'm going to get back to, and then we reach the point where I need to look at the Terraria wiki all the time. That's okay. We'll get that just fine. When the time comes, I will do what I need to do. Like I said, I'm not going to shy away from doing a bit of homework in this series, like I did last time. Some of you guys can help me out with that, and I have no problems if you want to clue me back into things that should be around where I am in the game. I'm sure you'll do it whether I mention it or not, as long as we don't get into the realm of it being constant, which is roughly where we were headed with the, like, telling me about shift and control all the time. I know about that. Again, I'll mention it several times each episode now, I suppose. But yeah, feel free to clue me in if there's a progression element that I'm missing out on that's obvious or particularly useful. I'll be happy to check into it for future episodes. And in the event that I do end up with a 1 or 2 episode backlog, and I don't get the ability to mention it at the time, because maybe what I end up with, like a few hours of extra time I didn't expect to have, and then I'll just go and record some stuff. You know, I could always put up an annotation or reply to somebody's comments or whatnot if it doesn't get addressed. But don't feel bad if I don't read your comment right away. I do read all the comments, so I will get to it. I just may not read it out in the actual episode, depending on what it is. So we've got another chest here, which I can apparently get. Oh, sweet! A blizzard in a bottle! We've got all the things now! This is all the things I wanted, really. Oh, man, that's fantastic. Now, I just need to make a little bit of room in my inventory, and then we can actually get on with our freaking lives here. I wish I had my flying pig. Did I even mention I just got a compass as well? All this needs to be is in my inventory, and it'll actually work just fine, so pretty happy with that as well. Probably would rather have stuck to that wall. There we go. Wanted a little light there. And pop that open. Knock this guy backward. No, not like that. And let's just grab the rest of the stuff in this chest. And the chest itself, of course. These kind of neat-looking doors, actually. What is this called? A boreal wood door. Probably can make that with one of those, like, living wood craft stations. I'll look into that in the future as well. What can I dump here that I really don't need very much? I mean, I guess this green mushroom is not super important. Well, I don't really need the doors either, actually, so we'll just leave those alone. How deep are we now? We've got to be getting there. Let's look at the map. Oh, yeah, we're like roughly halfway down through the world. Still got a little while yet to go on downward progress, though, if we want to continue in this route, which I think we probably would. really appreciating that the swords shoot out whether or not I have full health. I thought it was going to be a Zelda reference thing, that's why I was saying that. But it seems like it sticks to that principle no matter what I'm doing. Maybe I'll bomb a little bit here. I can't really see what I'm doing, though. Yeah, maybe just toss a couple of bombs downstairs, see what happens. I've got enough money now that, like, I'm not super worried about it. If I need to buy more bombs, I can always do that. And I'm starting to get enough health now, too, where I can actually tank a few hits and not feel super sad about the whole thing. I mean, granted, that was not really the most responsible health usage I've ever done, but it also wasn't deadly yet, either. By the way, in case anybody didn't realize, I can just jump on this minecart and travel on it, which maybe is a good idea to do on occasion, but then this happens, and we find ourselves in a marble environment, which I'm terrified of because we just passed a Medusa. Is there a chest here? There is a chest, and I don't even know what that chest is. That is a mysterious-looking chest. It's got a guarding cloud in a bottle, so we've got a second double jump ability. Let's loot everything we can. Toss that green mushroom I said I was getting rid of before. And this is a really cool-looking chest also, so I'm going to grab that too. I want to keep the slush. I think I've got no use for snow right now, so we'll grab that. It's a marble chest. That's what type of chest that is. I'm going to guess this is like a marble chandelier. No, it's a tin chandelier, so I don't need that at all. Alright, so we've gotten a little bit out of our depth now. The marble zone is perhaps a bit too dangerous for us. Maybe. But it does act as a nice conduit for us to continue exploring, because there's actually more tungsten right here. Oh, there's the Medusa. She's going to turn me into stone a lot. I don't know how to react to that, though. I've not really figured out exactly the best way to deal with them, other than stay out of their way, which is probably what I'll do. But I also don't really want to completely abandon the path I was on either. Maybe I'll just end up coming back. Maybe that'll be next episode. We'll just kind of pick things up with an emptied out inventory back in this position again. She might be able to freeze me, like, through the ground. I don't know. I think it might be line of sight, but I'm not entirely sure how that works. Well, she didn't freeze me, so I guess we're good. A little bit more. I do need to get to wrapping up the episode, unfortunately. But I have such a hard time putting down the exploration, especially when we're on a bit of good momentum, and, well, we're finding tons of great stuff. I know I should be equipping some of those, by the way. That is not lost on me. Forceful snowball cannon. And a teleportation potion. I think that just sends you teleports you to a random location. I am completely out of space right now in my inventory. Well, I don't need throwing knives that much. I can always get more of those. Cobwebs, I guess. I was gonna make some silk, but, like, cobwebs are really easy to find in large groups. So we'll do that. And I want this teleportation potion, too. I want the slush because I can extractinate it. I can always just make more platforms, I suppose. Oh, I can put accessories in these slots. That's a really good point. Cosmetic slots, you just saved my day, perhaps. Let's just put all of the accessories in cosmetic slots that I have. Actually, this is perfect for these ones, the compass and depth meter things. Like, I don't even want those taking up an inventory slot in general, so yeah, problem solved right there. There we go. I wish I had realized that sooner. And I think people have even told me that, and I heard it and then also didn't hear it at the same time. I don't really know why. I do that sometimes. I understand something, but then I, like, don't apply it to anything, so it just goes unused. Oh, is there still more here? Yes, the teleportation potion. That's what I was talking about before. And I like this sweet imp potion as well. Or imp statue, rather. Does this hammer do anything? I don't know. I'm just collecting all the statues again, because that's what I do. Every time I play this game, I collect all the statues. I can't help it. And now that I know that there's going to be an entire treasure chest worth of statues, I suppose I can allocate a reasonable amount of space to them. I've never done that in the past. I've always known they were coming. Oh, there's totally a trap right there. Oh, and I do know that I can place torches in backgrounds, just not all backgrounds are created equal. This one in particular, I believe you can only attach things to these wood bits, so, like, the ice part is not available. Oh, and the people mentioning that there were blinking eyes in the ground on the last episode, those weren't blinking eyes. What that was a combination of a a bit of faulty texturing in a gap between, see like this gap right here between the ice and the permafrost, if that's or snow, whatever you want to call it. In that space, the water hadn't filled in that gap, and we were seeing through to the background, like the parallaxing world behind things, like the outside island adventure waterfall area. And that was flickering looking, so it looked like eyes blinking, and I could see why it was off-putting, and when I watched the video back, it was kind of creepy, I agree. But I don't want people to think that there's creepy eyes living in my Terraria world. Well, granted, it's not the first time something creepy has happened in my Terraria world. If anybody was around for those days, I freaking made a new world that I remembered making before that everyone watched me generate. And it had things that I had found in other adventures in chests and like a house that I had built. It was so creepy. I don't know when that was anymore. It was a long time ago, but it was a thing I did on Twitch, and man, I don't know what to still make of that whole thing. I did not manufacture that. It was just really creepy and weird. So, like, something happened behind the scenes there that I don't understand how it happened, and I may never understand, actually. But it was the closest feeling I've ever had to, like, is my game haunted? No, I don't believe my game was haunted. Well, I don't believe that things can be haunted. I'm just saying. It was really odd. Alright, there we go. Jumped in the midst of those Vikings for the sake of the better good. The better good? The greater good. The greater better good. The butter good. Had butter jail, now why not butter good? Is this kind of the end of this path? Might be. Oh, there's lots more cobwebs that I can't pick up because I don't have space. I think I used up all my cosmetic slots as well for the accessories, so I'm not going to bother with that. What is this ore? Is that... I think that's iron. Yeah, it's right there. May as well. So, I guess when I go back home, I'm going to do a lot of regrouping, sorting through these accessories, and finding what the best combinations are, like if I have any that I can pair together. Do I even have the ability to pair them together? I need the Goblin Tinker bench or something like that. I don't even think I can pair them together yet, but I'll at least find the best grouping that works for my navigation abilities. So that way next time we're down here in a cave, which will be every time, I have the best chance of not falling to my death. Actually, double jumping by itself is a huge boon when it comes to that. Just being able to go, hey, I'm about to hit the ground. Bam, saved. Oh, the Centurion over here. Hoplite, I guess he's called. He's a dangerous guy. He can shoot spears that can hit you from far away. And do a lot of damage. I cleared this, right? No? I did not clear this. And there's a ton of ore over here. This is almost enough ore that I want to throw a sticky bomb at it, actually. I don't even have enough inventory slots to be able to make a sticky bomb. Oh, man. Come on, inventory management. You're screwing me again here. Brown pressure plates. Brown pressure plates. Well, I can keep one thing in the trash. That's another option. Should probably make, like, 3 or 4 of these. Watch out for the bat so it doesn't push me right into the explosions. And this is just going to save me a bit of time not having to mine these as much. I'll just put that. And I see that ruby there, by the way. I knew that digging it out wouldn't do me a lot of good considering. So I just kind of left it alone. Apparently I also made the worst hook in the game. I don't think the point was what kind of hook I was making. The point is I now have a hook when I didn't before. That was a comment somebody left, like, your hook sucks. Well, they didn't say that. They said that was the worst hook in the game. It's all good. We'll get better equipment. That is the process that we go through, and we've gotten a lot of good equipment just in this episode alone. This now particularly long episode, which I need to get back to my house real soon. I didn't actually finish exploring what was up above me there. But we've got a nice spot that we can come back to for next time. What's going on? I just see a piano. There's always a chest. There's never not a chest. There it is. We've got ice skates in the house. So let's maybe get rid of the platforms. I don't really need the stars anymore. I would have put them in my ammo, but honestly, it's not really relevant. And also, he's got a... Well, this chest, has got a suspicious-looking eye, which is great for summoning the first boss, if I want to kind of speed things up. Viking helmet. Oh, I didn't realize you dropped that. Well, I can put that on a social slot there. Take that, and invisibility potion. That's not one that I often use, to be perfectly honest. Man, what am I gonna leave here? Put the invisibility potions in the trash. Take the chest. And then we'll just come back and harvest the rest of this stuff next time. Angry beetle, my goodness. I'm probably just never going to come back here, but I want to. I mean, the piano's pretty sweet. There's like 2 of them. I'm happy I've got lots of chests now that I can make stuff happen with. Well, I really just wanted the plain wooden chest, but I can just make those, so I don't know why I'm so fussed about it. That's going to probably do it. Why don't we just head back, and we'll take stock of where we left off. What is this ore, by the way, right here? I think we've got some ore. Is that something else? Oh, that just might be slush or something. It looked darker gray, so I was assuming it was something useful. Alright, well, there's obviously another cave right there. I guess we'll just let some of the water through. Make sure the torch goes out. And this is a place that we can come back to for a good while. Oh, probably didn't want to drown the whole thing, but... One more heart for the road? One more heart, maybe? No? Alright, I probably shouldn't push my luck because I have a ton of gold. And eventually I'm just going to fall and then kill myself. Because I still haven't set everything up. No more hearts. What is that? Underneath the water there. You see that? It's probably just a pot. It looked kind of square, so it was confusing me a bit. Pretty sure that it's just a pot. But I can't not. Take a quick look. Oh yeah, we're swimming in all kinds of bats on the other side of this wall. Remember when I said how I should, like, just leave well enough alone? That is not in my nature, evidently. Okay, the slush is falling. I should be able to just kind of switch over here. Get the bats, keep them in bay, and yeah, fantastic. Yeah, it's just a pot. I can't really tell why they look like that, though. They look like they have bits of ice stuck to them, I guess. That's actually exactly what is going on there, but I don't know. For some reason, they're kind of confusing looking to me. Anyway, that's gonna do it. Let's go back with our magic mirror, and we will re-adventure down to that point. And it's real easy to tell where we were. There's a lot of activity on the map in that one specific spot, and you can see where we did the minecart ride all the way through there. Apparently, there's a life crystal right there that I didn't pick up because I'm real dumb. Gotta make sure I go back for that next time. Why did I must have even seen it and just walked away. I probably did some inventory management and then didn't go back. Alright, well, I'm sure there's some angry comments already in that. I look pretty weird right now, don't I? Alright, that's fine. Let's drop off maybe some potions real quick so I can make a little bit of room in my... Oh, stop sending this away. I want to keep the potions in my inventory, please. Take those there, put those there. Alright, that's good enough. And let's just very quickly make a few groupings of ingots. Just want to see what I walk away with as my total here. Definitely have enough for the gold pickaxe. Tungsten greaves, that's 25 and 20. We've got 25 tungsten bars right away. Where is my tungsten pile? Tungsten ore. Oh, yeah, let's take the invisibility potion out of the trash before I forget and turn the game off. Tungsten ore, there it is. Why was I not seeing that? Alright, we got a whole bunch. So there we go, bam! Done and done. We have enough for the whole set now. So, tungsten helmet, crafted. Tungsten greaves, crafted. And we'll put those away somewhere nice for safekeeping. Do I even have enough? I probably even have enough for the pickaxe, which is 6 melee damage, Fast speed. What does the gold one have to say about that? 6 melee damage, very fast speed. Yeah, so we want to get that then. Can mine meteorite. That's exactly what I'm after. So there we go. We've made a ton of big upgrades on this episode. I'm going to do the rest of the inventory sorting off camera because it's going to get boring. But I think you can get the idea. We're in a good position all of a sudden. We've got a nice early weapon to get us through some difficult spots. We've got meteorite mining powers. We've got the ability to double jump if I equip it, which I have to go through all this stuff as well. We've got all kinds of extra ingots that we can sort and probably make even more stuff. We've got 11 gold that I didn't even put away yet. Add that to the piggy bank. Look how much money I already have. 35 gold. I feel like that took me a long time before. And I found the ice gates, which is a thing that I don't think I could ever find in my other playthrough. Or did I? No, I think I did. I just found like one and it took me a long time. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, I really do appreciate the feedback, the comments, the criticisms, everybody that's here, the general support. If you're still enjoying the series, make sure you leave a like, because that does actually help a whole bunch. And I'll see you again tomorrow for another episode. Have a great night, everybody.